have to say, it feels pretty good. What's up everyone? Stuff and things, another electric skateboard. You know how this goes, right? Today we're taking a look at the WowGo 2S. This is a dual hub motor electric skateboard giving you a range of about 10 to 12 miles. And with this battery option, it should give you about 22 miles per hour top speed. It is built on a maple and bamboo deck. I actually really like the looks of this board. It's got a nice bamboo layer here on the bottom with their logo and name engraved in there. Now I know what you're thinking.
Dude, that board looks really similar to the last one that you just did.
You're right, it does, and I will explain that in just a second. Now, on their site, they do advertise this board as being waterproof. As you guys probably already know, I don't like considering boards waterproof unless I can dunk them into a pool. There is, however, a video on their website where they take this exact board, they do a little bit of extra sealing around here with some like glue, tacky type material, and then they take the board and actually dunk it into the ocean. They leave it there for about a minute or two, completely submerged. They take it out and go take it for a ride. Now that seems great and all, but my question is this thing really that water resistant, watertight? Can I actually go splash this thing through puddles and not have to worry about it? In their tests, they specifically say that they're not dunking the motors, so are these motors not waterproof, water resistant like the rest of the board claims to be? I don't really know yet, but I think it will be okay. I've seen hub motors like this take a pretty good beating in the past, and I've done it to some of my own personal boards. The last board that looks very similar to this, which I said was waterproof, is actually not waterproof. They specifically say not to ride it in the rain, and I'm gonna say the same thing for this board and any other board that I review in the future. Now this is the WowGo 2S. I don't have any previous generations to compare this to. However, I do have two boards, which you probably already have in your head, that are very, very similar to this thing. So might as well grab those and do a side-by-side comparison. All right, so here I have the Meepo V1.5. As you can see, super similar to this WowGo. From the deck shape to the handle cutouts, to the wheels, the battery and controller cases, and especially these hub motors here, these boards do seem almost exactly identical. Now the reason for this is because a lot of Chinese board manufacturers like these two companies here, when they're picking and choosing parts, a lot of times they are sourcing these same parts from the same factory. If I had to guess, a lot of these parts are exactly the same, however, they just kind of put their own spin on it to make it their own board. Originally, parts will come out that will make a complete board, and then other companies will take those designs and rebrand them to make them their own. Personally, I don't really care which came first. I'm sure there are other boards out there that are using these exact same parts. The only thing I'm actually interested in is what are these companies doing to make their boards stand out from others. So a couple things that makes this board differ from the Meepo. There's some very minuscule things, like the trucks are just a tiny bit different. The actual aesthetics of the board are obviously different as well. The covers on the bottom of the board are different. This one does not have a battery indicator back here. I actually do like having that on the Meepo, however, there are some other extra pros to this board. One being the bearing selection. A lot of people out there are bearing snobs. I don't really care too much because I just kind of beat on my boards, and then if I need to clean them, I clean them. These are Zealous bearings. They're supposed to be a kind of upgrade from a standard traditional bearing like they had on previous models. Supposedly they're great and they'll last a long time, but we'll see if I ride this thing long enough to even wear these things out. And then the bushings are also upgraded to be a little bit softer. I guess in previous models there were some complaints about this board being too stiff and hard, so they softened those things up. They're green, they match the bearings. Kind of a cool touch, I guess. And then another thing that differs this from the Meepo is that this is available in 2 different deck styles and 3 different battery options. They obviously make this deck as you see here, but they also make one with like these big kind of kicktail type of things. I kind of think I would like that board a little bit more because I already have this exact deck shape in both the boosted board and the Meepo. And if you're used to a traditional skateboard, it would be nice to have something to kind of kick around. And then the different battery options, these I believe are the Samsung option. This is the lowest of their performance options. They offer 2 more battery upgrades that should give you better distance. However, this one is their cheapest, coming in at about $430. I know that it looks like it has been getting brighter in here, however, this is the current situation outside. Not good. Now I know that they claim that this thing is waterproof, and given my current weather situation, I guess that is really going to be put to the test. It is really not safe to ride in the rain. They don't recommend it. However, if this board can take it, I guess I'll just kind of go out and be safe and put this thing to the test. I'm hoping that these things are weather sealed like they say they are. I'm not sure what the hub motors are going to do, but I'll kind of take it slow, and actually I think I'm gonna wait until it stops raining so I don't get super wet. Oh, it's lightning, that's good. Yeah, I'm gonna wait until this storm passes, but then maybe I will go out and see if I can ride this thing until it dies. Might be 5 minutes, might be an hour or two, but to you guys, it's just gonna be like 2 seconds. All right guys, we're out here ready to test out the WowGo S2. The sun is kind of coming out a little bit, but there's still puddles everywhere. Might not be the best thing to test in, but I'm dealing with what I got. I did check on their website one more time to see how they actually worded the waterproof system of this. In the description, they say the WowGo S2 has a better ESC, meaning the motherboard which controls the board. It's waterproof and brakes and accelerates smoother. But then if you click on the FAQs of the board and scroll down a little bit, there is a question that says, how water resistant is the board? That's already a little bit different wording than what they said in the description. Will it still function if it goes through small puddles? The answer is we've been skating the WowGo board through several puddles without any issue. We do, however, recommend that you ride around water and stay away from wet or icy surfaces. So that obviously makes sense. Like I said, you don't want to be riding something that's electric in the rain anyway, but that's a problem that I have with some of these board manufacturers. They put waterproof somewhere on the site. Unless it's saying this board is not waterproof, I don't think the words waterproof should be used at all anywhere in the description. What they should say about this board is that the ESC is water resistant and that they do not recommend riding in wet conditions. So anyway, that's my mini rant. Let's see how this thing performs. One thing that I really do like about this board that I haven't even mentioned yet is the controller. This is very reminiscent of a boosted board controller, a simple on button, a little switch on the side to select forward and reverse, and then almost like a scroll wheel. You go up for acceleration and then pull back to brake. So to turn this on, press and hold the button. You get some lights, and then the board does not have the smart on feature like the Meepo has, so I'll have to actually go down here, turn that on. No big deal. There are 3 modes and it should be starting in the lowest mode, so let's see how it goes. I stand corrected. This is definitely the fast mode. I must have been staying in the fast mode when I was playing with the controller last night. All right, so we're skipping the low and medium mode for now and just testing this thing's full ability. And I have to say, it feels pretty good. I really like how this feels just like a boosted board controller. The deck seems like it might be a little bit stiffer than the Meepo. Definitely stiffer than a boosted board, but I wouldn't really be able to tell unless I was comparing them side by side. Test out the brakes. Not super powerful, like it's gonna throw you off, but I'd say it feels pretty smooth. And it can definitely accelerate you from a dead stop while you're standing on it without pushing. Here we go, full speed to full brake. Ooh yeah, that's actually pretty good. I already have the tracks turned on my phone, so I will ride this thing for a couple miles and then I will come back, let you guys know how it's going.
Not waterproof.
Time to hit the bricks to test the shakiness, as well as the only kind of hill around here might be like a 15% grade. Alright guys, the first 3.31 miles have been ridden. I've been up to a max speed of 20.54 miles per hour, so not too bad. Now I don't want to sound like I'm jumping the gun when I say this. Like I said, I've only been about 3 miles on this board, but I think I do prefer this one over the Meepo board. One of the reasons for that being is the controller. Like I said, this is very similar to the boosted board controller with this thumb wheel on top. Because of how big that wheel is, it gives you a much longer throw as compared to the controller on the Meepo. Now the Meepo was pretty smooth, however However, this is definitely smoother, at least so far. A prime example how I accidentally started in the fastest mode. If I would have started in the fastest mode on the Meepo and rocked up on the throttle like I did on this, that probably would have thrown me off, or at least really thrown me off balance because I would not have been expecting that. The acceleration curve on this is very smooth, much more controllable, and I would definitely say that this thing rides more like the boosted board than the Meepo does. When I have the controller on and press the power button, you can see that I got 2 lights and a blink left. So I guess that means I'm at around 65% power. We'll see how much further I can go after this, but good job on the controller. Now for the board, as you can see, this thing got a little bit dirty from the rain and sand everywhere. The deck does feel pretty nice, like I said, not as flexible as a boosted board and probably a little bit stiffer than a Meepo, but I really do like the flex of it. I'm about 170 pounds, so it flexes nice, carves good as well. Speaking of the carving, the trucks are nice. I didn't really have to adjust them at all, and it seems pretty fit for my weight. I've never been on a previous generation of this board, but I would have to say that these bushings do a good job at dampening any kind of cracks and bumps. I would say it definitely passed the brick test. It didn't shake my legs to death. It might be a little bit better than the Meepo in that aspect, but it's really too hard to tell. Same thing with the bearings. They're supposedly upgraded and better than others, but I really doubt that I'm going to ride this board long enough to ever tell the difference. The hub motors seem fine. The braking was good. Supposedly it has regen braking as well. I think when you're riding boards like this and you're not around any significant hills, that really doesn't play a factor into anything. There is a huge ship behind me. Look at that thing. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some electric skateboards from China on that. I'm not about to have a repeat of what happened last time. These waves are gonna come in and I'm going to get soaked. So before that happens, I'm going to get off of these rocks and go ride this thing till it dies. And I'll check back with you guys in a little bit, I guess. I'm back and the board is pretty much dead. This is gonna sound kind of weird, but I actually liked the way that this thing died. A lot of other boards, when you're running them down, getting as close to the bottom of the battery as you can, a lot of times you'll just be riding along, the power will slow, and then all of a sudden it just stops. That happened with a couple boards that I've tested in the past, and then you end up having to kick home. The WowGo, on the other hand, had a very gradual death, if that makes sense. So if I would kick the board so I'm already up to speed and use whatever power was left, it would actually maintain my speed. It never actually felt like it was gonna go completely flat. I'm sure it would. I'm sure it's not too far away right now, but I actually do like the way that battery works. Speaking of that, let's check out the distance. I accidentally turned my app off, so I originally went 3.31 miles, and then I finished that second half with 6.16 miles. So that's about 9.5 miles total, and I think the way that this battery was dying would have allowed me to get to at least 10. That falls within their advertised distance, so I'm cool with that. Also, top speed says 21.84. That is close enough to 22 in my opinion, so I think they nailed the specs to be as advertised. A lot of companies don't do that, and it is really refreshing when that actually happens. I still don't like that they say that this thing is waterproof. I would say water resistant, but as you can see, this board is dirty and a little bit wet. I was splashing through puddles, sometimes on purpose. I really shouldn't say that. But yeah, I don't think the water got in here at all. Didn't really seem affected by it. I started with the board in fast mode, so I can't really speak to the others, but I think I'm gonna start doing all of my reviews just straight to the top like that. Only riding it in the fastest speed mode really allowed me to see how smooth the acceleration curve actually was. And I think in the lower modes, it would just be even more gradual, so this board is probably good for beginners. At the same time, 22 miles per hour and a 10-mile range, that's good enough for my criteria of buying a board and throwing it in my quiver of other boards. So I definitely think that I'm going to be riding this thing more, and then if anything changes, I will of course come back and update the description of this video. Speaking of that, when you're watching any of these skateboard videos, maybe you're watching this one way in the future, check the description. If anything went wrong with this board or any other board that I tested, I will update it down there. Now for the main question, would I recommend this? Would I buy this? It's about $30 to $40 more than the Meepo, and it's very, very similar. Simply because of this controller right here, I think that I would definitely recommend this board and actually recommend this over the Meepo. There's just something about this controller once you get used to it. Like I said, just like a boosted board, the throw is longer, so it's more controllable. It's just an all-around confidence-inspiring controller, and that just goes to show how important controllers actually are to electric skateboards. I know this is just my first impression, but as of right now, I would definitely choose the WowGo over the Meepo. If you're looking for a boosted board clone type of board, this is definitely the go-to. So that's gonna be it for my review of the WowGo. Like I said, I'm definitely gonna be throwing this into my quiver of boards, and I'm going to be riding it, testing it further in the future. If my opinions on anything that I said of this board changes in the future, I will update that in the description down below. If you're watching this video on the day it goes live, that is the time that I tend to answer most comments. So if you're new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe. I make new videos every week, and if you want to be here when the videos do go live, so I might have a better chance of answering your comment, you can also turn on the notification bell. That way you get notified every time that I post a new video. So that's gonna be all for today. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you in the next one.